Hello everyone, this is Don back with the next progress report on my Corsair. Well, as you can see, I got everything back together except the alternator. It's still sitting down there. I didn't want to put the alternator on in case I had troubles or complications with the new crank sensor. As you can see, it is in place now. Let me grab my light real quick so you can see it again. There's a new sensor. I had to make a little spacer. You can notice underneath there's a 1/4 inch thick aluminum spacer. And the original hole is basically, let me get this over a little bit more so you can see it. I ended up doing a stupid ball on this trouble light that's junk. It's not going to cooperate, folks. But anyway, I made 2 position holes in this new sensor bracket. The problem is you can't get your hand back in here. It's all completely filled in. But underneath there is a Allen wrench set screw, or socket head cap screw. Not socket head, I mean a countersunk screw. Bolts into the original location, and because the location of the new sensor was longer than the old one, and it was also taller. Overall, from top to bottom, it was the same, but this tab was thicker on the original, and it was recessed down a 1/4 inch. So all I did was just make that spacer on the CNC, bolted it in with 1 bolt, and then bolted this in. The sensor goes through both of them, and the gap is about perfect. So after doing that, I did take and crank it over and check the sparks, and the sparks were perfect. They were just tick, 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 back and forth. Checked both sides. They were in perfect sync, not skipping a beat. And then I got my timing light out last night. I did check it with the timing light yesterday, but it was, glitchy. Well, I'm just cranking it, no plugs in. And it was looking like it was firing good on my original timing marks. So I ended up, I took that after I finished last night, I took that inside, and I eliminated this plug-in connection. The 2 pieces of the plug are still in there, but I just run the wires all the way up through and soldered them in, and I bypassed the trigger. It turns out the trigger was bad. It worked, but the continuity was all over the place. It was hundreds of ohms when it should have been, 1 ohm at max. So I just bypassed it. And the knob, turns out the knob was just kind of, this little potentiometer, it was falling apart. I was able to pull it open, clean it out, put it back together, recrimp it, put it in, bolt it down, and it's working fine. Trigger's locked out now. The trigger don't do anything. I just put it in there to kind of cover the hole up. But it works perfect. Crank it over. I already got it started, and I threw the light on it while I still had the software set to give me only 10 degrees advance, and it was rock steady. What I ended up doing for a pointer, I spent most of today fiddling with this timing, but I took the old cam sensor bolt and put a longer bolt in it, so as you can see it passes through out here. And now on this sprocket I marked 2 spots 180 degrees apart. When this thing's on top dead center, it lines up with this perfectly. I put a thing in there and run it till it was top dead center. I put a white dot on this back lip in 2 spots, so it's a compression and exhaust stroke. And once I got it running, I threw the light on there, and the dot just sits back a 1/4 inch, which is about 10 degrees, so it's perfect. So it runs on 10 degrees, but it didn't like taking the throttle. Alright, before I get on, so I went back in, I just hooked the laptop up, went into the spark tables and turned off the 10 degree fixed and went to variable. So let's see if it'll start up. It took me a little bit to get her fired up. I first started cranking it and hit the primer and tried it, and then didn't start, just cranked. So that time I didn't open the throttle much, so I opened some more, turned it on, hit it again, and figured, okay, that was it. Tried again, still nothing. So the 3rd time I opened her up farther, let her run, hit it, and then I finally seen a splash of fuel up here. So the first 2 attempts, it didn't get any fuel. See, the water did go down some. I left that open just so I can add water. But I got to drain the system to pull this radiator next because it was still leaking. Alright, this last time I came back out here, turns out I left the power on all night, and it ran the battery dead. Like right now, it's still on. Well, let's see what happens. sink loss counters. Every time you have a sink loss, this counter counts up, 0. Temperature's running about 75, 70 degrees. Engine RPM is hovering around 1,000. Master vacuum is running 19 inches, 9 inches of vacuum. Great. And our coolant temperature is 95. So, air-fuel ratio meter. See what it says in here. It's about 12.4 on this gauge. Yeah. Well, that gauge in there averages it out. This one does too, but looks good. Quiet, very quiet. Alright, let's shut her off once. Give her a second. Now that tube popped back out. Now that's what it's supposed to do, folks. I am completely happy with that. I guess I gotta open this one up and take a look at this spring in here. Feels like it all flipped up here. So, the only reason, like I said, I didn't put it together, put the alternator on, is in case I needed to get back in here on this sensor. The wires were just plain wires sticking out of it, so I put some heat shrink on it. Runs up into here with a disconnect plug. I want to get a weather pack, and then I'll change this out with a factory style type weather pack, just to keep moisture out of it. But it works fine. You hear that? She starts right up, no hesitation, and that's without even touching the throttle. So it's back to its normal self. It's still cold, you know. It's not even, just barely over 100 degrees on the coolant, 70 degrees on the air temp. I had to open the door to let some smoke out, or not smoke, but exhaust smell. So everything's working great. For some reason, the timing light does not work when hooked on here, but if I hook it onto the trigger wires, it works perfect. Battery charged up. I mean, it was 3.8 volts, and then see where we're at now. It's showing charging. Let's see what it says. Yeah, it's 50% because the alternator's not on working. So I'll go ahead and make sure everything looks good, and I'll throw the alternator back on there. I'm going to see about getting a slightly longer belt. So I want to see if I can still read the part number on this belt. If not, yeah, it's still on there. I'm going to see if I can get one maybe 1/8 of an inch longer. 280 K5, so 710, 71. See, that's one of these is 71. It's not 71 inches, that's for sure. Must be, yeah, it's 28 inches, 28.0 inches to be 710 millimeters. 5K meaning it's 5 rib. So I'll see if I can get one just a hair longer. You usually can get those in about 1/8 inch increments. So, again, my timing pointer's here, so I can always reference off of that. I've rechecked the timing, everything's perfect on it. I bought new oil, put 5 quarts of fresh oil in, because this oil was getting pretty dirty from running all that rich running after getting this thing fired up and running. Anything else? There's nothing else. Everything's working fine. No oil leaks. Oil pressure, everything's good. Ignition, perfect. I mean, that thing's rock steady now. When I was checking it at 10 degrees, it was just completely steady, not moving. Even if I revved it up, it just sat right there and did not move. That's the beauty of crank triggers. Like again, now the next thing is drain this back down, pull that radiator out and see if it's the hose leaking where the hose clamp is, or if one of the welds on the tubes, upper one or lower one's leaking, but it's running down and make it puddle back here. So tomorrow morning it'll probably have a puddle. Alternator's fine. All it's left to do is hook up the, get a little light hooked up into the cockpit, indicator light letting you know when it's not charging. Without that hooked up, it won't charge. So, again, yesterday I just spent the time making that crank sensor bracket. It took me 3 tries to get that CNC machine to cut. It was like cutting too fast, too high a speed, and I was using that old engine oil, dabbing it on there. I didn't bother to turn on the coolant, but there's my first 2 attempts. Pecked the 2 little holes for the bolts, screw bolts, machined that out, and started coming around here, and it just melted and burred up and stalled out the machine twice. So this time I hooked up my mister, slowed the speeds down a little bit, but not enough to change it from this to that, and that worked perfect with that cutting fluid. That's just water and some special fluid, but it worked better than that synthetic oil did. The synthetic oil did not want to work. And that's a 3-fluid aluminum bit. Same one I used to make that crank trigger wheel with, but that was steel, just hot rolled steel, 1/4 inch. So I think that's about all I got. That worked out great. It showed me what I wanted to see. But now there's not going to be any sync problems unless that sensor is a little far on the gap. I didn't actually get in there and measure it, but it's pretty close. It's just a little wider than the VR sensor was, but the Hall effect sensors can run at a greater gap. So this one doesn't have a little light on it like those other ones I had hooked up here where you can see it blinking when it works. But obviously it's working perfect. So I think that's going to do her. I'll get into this radiator and find out what's going on. Let's try one more quick test, see how she fires up. Fire and hold. Can't ask for anything better than that, folks. Oil pressure about 50. Volts are 13.5. About 2 amp draw. Water temp. Yeah, that's only 100 degrees, so that's like 110, 120, 30, 40, 50. Yeah, so it's not even up to 120 degrees yet. Engine RPM's good. They were running around 12 to 13 on the air-fuel ratio. I think that intake is causing it to run a little rough, the cylinder being starved for air. I didn't notice that when I started earlier. I did make a small adjustment on the idle mixture. So now I need to come in, tie this down, pull these screws, safety them, a little Loctite, re-safety them that they're done, safety wire this back in place. Once the prop's on there, this probably have to idle about 1,000 RPM. The air temp sensor is working great. So, all right, I guess that's going to do her for this update, folks. I'll get on that leak probably next. This one here, every time I used to start, it put out a little bit of steam, so I'll probably eventually have to look into that one too. But when I first took it to the airport, it was dripping over here, but I could never find anything leaking. But once I finally got this running with the carburetor, I'd see a little steam out of there like something was wet and was burning off. That side doesn't steam, it just drips. So, fresh oil, plugs are original. They're a little dirty from trying to run it before with the sinking problem, so that we'll see if they clear up, or get a little run time on this thing and see if they clear up. All right, as you guys see, my friend Kevin had put up some videos last week, and then he just put 2 more up last night or Friday night. So you got to remember, these videos go back into the 80s and 90s, and it was old VHS tape. So it's pretty neat to see that Corsair flying in the air. It looks really nice. Just too bad the camera operator was a little jittery on that thing. And like I said, those were old days with the shoulder-mounted VCR recorders back in that day. I used to have one. It had a little thing that actually sat on your shoulder, and you looked through an eyepiece, and so it was kind of hard to keep steady in an airplane bouncing around. Alright, folks, I guess that's going to do her. As always, appreciate everybody taking time to watch my videos. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns. Appreciate the ones you guys are leaving now, and as always, don't be afraid to leave comments. And if you haven't heard, I'll put a link again to Kevin's website for anybody that's watching this video that hasn't been around in a while. And you can go over and check out some Focke-Wulf flying, P-47, and another Corsair. The Corsair videos he just put up was the same one, just different paint job. It originally was the gray one, and it went to the blue, and then Mark Berry ended up with that Corsair and flew it for a few years, and then it got sold and went to Germany. Last I heard, I believe it's in Germany. Okay, everybody, that's going to do her. I'm at 15 minutes, and I think this camera only goes to 18 before you got to start splicing. So I guess that's going to do her. I will hump on this thing a little more, and I still got to finish. This is all prepped. I just got to clean it and get the paint out and get that paint laid out. If it's still good, it's in the freezer. I'll have to check on it. As long as it is still liquid form, it'll be alright. It's the epoxy. So just touch up all that, and then I get on these leaks a little bit and finish tying down all these wires. I had to cut a lot of tie wraps to get this all apart. So get everything tucked away neatly and go from there. Alright, I'll probably see you again on Tuesday, and hopefully I'll have that thing figured out and some other stuff figured out. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for now, and I will see you guys again most likely Tuesday night. Okay, so for now, this is Dino Don out.